Just let you know when you shoot out. It was good. Yeah. We went down.
All the boys show up and they need food.
Yeah, and go ahead and do it so that we can Yeah, and everybody's living right there. And we were here, you know, so, you know, we're,
Let's see.
She gets one. Right, right there.
Feel like home? Except you need to be down.
I used to be over there, yeah. So
I know.
It's
I
been a
won't be
while,
able to
right?
talk to you down on that end of the.
You've been off for how long?
about 5 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been a while.
So we went to DC my first time with you. Yeah.
Yeah, funny to see you.
It's not that big.
We're still going to have a
Oh, maybe the microphone is different.
I remember just a little guy. That's
Sandra, Jenny.
I think they couldn't hear. I mean, nobody was leaning across, so their time goes flat.
I think they're on.
Oh, Sean Cummings. I don't know.
Are they gonna make us do this, or do I just?
Well, I didn't do it because I figured they wanted to see us.
Well,
Sean, Jonathan,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, baby.
I think that's it.
So you need to.
okay.
I did go out and get a pen.
All right. Well, with that being said,
sweet. No.
Angle it.
It's something.
These are new. Oh, they're all on.
What a way to start.
these are
the meeting.
new, the latest and the greatest.
We ordered them when I was mayor, so it's probably
In a minute.
a little low. Yeah, stand up.
Don't get me started there, Mayor. Well, with that being said, I'm going to call us to order. Summer, will you call the roll, please?
David Mason,
Here.
Sandra Robinette,
Here,
Marcy Mack,
Here.
John Blankenship,
Here.
Jesse Ashlock,
Here.
Ken Gertie is not here, April Danahay, do not see her, Sean Cummings, Jeremy Heiss, Jonathan Waddell,
Here.
Keaton Francis, did not see him, Jennifer Smithson, George Pankinen,
Here.
Dwight Hughes,
Here.
and Dudley Darrow.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, all right, very good. Before we get going, I would like to introduce our new members, Sandra Robinette, Jonathan Waddell, and Jenny Smithson. Sean Cummins is not here. He's our fourth person that will be going on the board. Everybody knows Sean has a funeral home. Sometimes last minute he gets called out, so, but we'll swear him in next time. But with that being said, I want to welcome you. Mike will give a little update in a second, not just about what we're doing, but mainly about what our board does and the purpose of the board. If you're not sure, Jonathan, we're happy to have you back up here.
It's an interesting feeling. Yeah.
I know. It feels good. You know, I will say, you and I didn't always see eye to eye on everything, but we were always friends afterwards.
100%.
Every single time, and I always appreciated that. So, looking forward to,
Have you ever seen eye to eye on everything with anyone?
you, Carol, just you and I.
His wife.
So,
Splendid response.
yeah, but we're happy to have everybody. It's such a great board and does a good work. And, you know, I tell everybody that comes on this board, and Mike can reiterate here and shortly, but, you know, we don't need you until we need you on this thing. Mike can talk more about that, about the bracks that we had and some of the things that we had to do to make happen almost overnight, and we're able to do that. So with that being said, you've been selected because of special skill sets that you have. And at some point, you may be called upon to have to use those skill sets. And so we're glad you're on the board. With that being said, if the three of you would meet me right down here, I will read this oath, swear you in, and make it all official. raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
I, Jonathan McGill, solemnly swear to
That I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
defend the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma.
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
And that I will not
and that I will not
knowingly receive directly or indirectly any money or valuable things,
will not knowingly or unknowingly receive any
valuable
valuable
things
things
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office,
pertaining to my office,
other than the compensation
other than the compensation
allowed by law.
allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as trustee of the Vance Development Authority
as trustee of the Vance Development Authority
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Very good.
You got through it. All right, thank you.
Mayor, is the comma broken on your typewriter?
It's not good.
Well, the last time I did that, I read through the whole thing before it dawned on me that I had to stop. So, thought I was doing better.
It's improvement.
All right, item number 3, consider approval of minutes of the regular meeting of the Vance Development Authority of January 23rd, 2025. I think everybody's had a chance to look at those. I'll look for a motion to approve.
So move. Yep.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Item 4.1, update on the progress related to the Eisenhower Elementary School project. And Dr. Darrell, why don't
Yeah,
you start
I'll
off
start.
on that, and then
You
I'll
bet.
let Coop
bet.
chime in afterwards.
Well, we've been officially accepted, and we're officially in the portal now, and had a good meeting last Friday with the Department of Defense. Just want to recap that we are seeking $1.2 million for the architecture fees. We're working with Corbin Mertz, local architect here. Our time frame is January 1 of this year till December 31st. Corbin Mertz does not think that'll be a problem. Grand total on that, again, is $1.2 million, which roughly the school would be at about $240,000. The Department of Defense will reimburse the remaining $960,000. We're actually going to make a claim today. They've said within 3 business days. We'll see. I hope they do. But we're in the portal. We're making claims now, so we're moving along well. Want to add one more thing too. You guys may or may not know Dr. Murphy, the principal out there, is retired this year. Great employee, long-time needed public school employee. And this coming Monday, we're going to name her replacement. I'm not going to say any more than that. It's got to be board approved, as you guys know, but got a great fit for the new principal out there. So things are really finally clicking and finally moving along. And I'll let Coop correct any errors I might have had there.
He had no errors, and again, Mayor Dudley and his staff have done a great job every time they were needing to respond back on this whole issue, because you have to get it right. You know, it's a bureaucratic mess, but you got to get it right, and they did. And so now what this means is, with the allocation of dollars, and they're now submitting for money to have the engineering design done, what that means is that that project will be completed. And so it's going to be, you know, somewhere in ballpark of 30 million, but what a great project. Again, as you all remember, Department of Defense will pay 80% of that, and 20% is from us. So, but hats off to you all to get that going.
You
So
bet.
that is going to happen. So it's good.
I had a full head of hair when we started this process.
So that's a great project, though, for Enid Advance.
Absolutely.
Good deal.
Absolutely. Anything else on Eisenhower?
Nope.
Mike, before I move on to item 4.2, would you just give a quick update about what it is that Vance Development Authority does for our community?
Sure.
So the new members will know.
Vance Development Authority, and Carol can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was created around 1994, leading up to BRAC. A lot of us didn't really know what BRAC was till about 1993, and we knew they were closing bases, so we had to all of a sudden kind of energize ourselves, get involved, and, well, okay, what's going to happen to us? Is very quickly decided, we kind of treated it like an economic development asset. In other words, at least we know that infrastructure and quality of life is important, but we also need to figure out what else is important to the military. But at the end of the day, we knew we need to create an authority underneath the city, because at the end of the day, whatever it was we were going to do is probably going to cost money. So we created that authority, and the Oklahoma Strategic Military Planning Commission at the state level was created like this, because after the 95 BRAC, it was, between then and the 2005 BRAC, it was decided that the state needed to play a role as well on helping us do what we can to enhance mission capabilities and all those sorts of things that communities would do to protect and enhance their facilities. So it was created, and the way we designed it here was we created people, from the education group, from the medical group, from housing and different ones. So we created people on this authority that can bring their knowledge to us, because it changes. Maybe one moment we have a need for housing, maybe we have issues with TRICARE, maybe we have, all of those education. Of course, if you recall, we purchased Phillips University, and now we know what it is. Well, part of the reason for that, we needed colleges, for our young men and women in the area, but it was also an important need for the Air Force Base. In fact, when we first created it, we even brought master programs here that they needed at the moment or wanted. So we did that. But we my job, the way this works is, so you're here to bring your experience and knowledge to assist when needed, but it's more of an advisory role, authority. My job is to always work with whoever the wing commander is to say, well, okay, we have limited funds, but what are the critical issues of the day that we can help you do what it is you do better. We leave, the Air Force work up to them, because I'm certainly not a pilot, but I also am a good listener to see what the items are. And then we bring it to this commission, and then we discuss those items, and then if there is a need for dollars spent, because this board doesn't have any authority over money, and the mayor is always the chairman, your city managers, I would say, is always your trust manager. But whatever the issue is, if it's dollars involved, then we'd have to approve it here and then take it to the city council for approval, because the city council would be the dollars if you were going to, if you needed funding for anything. But again, it's a great, and it's been in existence now for about 31 years. I would have to say, if you look at all the things that we've done, it is a commission that's very active. We don't only do the items in town, but my job is, work at the state and federal level if there's laws and rules and things that could be made or changed to allow to assist us, not just with funding, but laws for airspace protection and all of those sort of things. That those ideas all come from here, or working with the wing commander at the base. So I appreciate your time and your input, but that's kind of, unless Carol can add to that, it's probably kind of the key.
Does any of the new members have any questions on that, kind of what it does? I will remind you that over the 31 years he's talking about, Coops managed to locate and bring to our community in the base somewhere around $400 million. So it's a big deal, a big deal. So with that being said, thank you. And I just think that's important that everybody understands what it is that we're doing here. So,
and
all right.
I was going to say, too, I know you asked me to grade them on their oath, so.
Yeah. Item 4.2, update on Oklahoma House Bills 2516 and 2518 regarding military installation protection and enhancement initiatives.
So after some discussion up front, and again, this year deals with assistance to the military communities that have bases in their communities, and this is dealing with the schools on base, building the schools that we're talking about. So Speaker Hilbert and Trey Caldwell and others in the House thought that it was time to assist these with infrastructure issues in these communities that have bases in them. So 2516 and 2518 deal with that, creating a flow-through entity at the state where dollars can be placed. I don't, that's to be determined yet about how much money they put there to assist with infrastructure needs in these communities. So right now it deals with schools, assistance, or simulators. One of the bases has an issue that they may need some assistance with that. So the thought is have this entity that takes money as the state deems it's appropriate to assist, and then it flows out to those. Currently, and I met last week with the Military and Veteran Affairs Committee with Senator Gallagher. It's already passed in the House. It's now in the Senate. So I went to that committee with him to answer all the questions they had, because now it has to be voted on by the full Senate. It did pass last Thursday, but so that's what's going to happen. It looks like if the Senate passes this, then there'll be the military. At the moment, they're saying the money would flow through the military department, and then that money would flow out to the schools that are where they're building these schools. Which currently it's Vance and Altus. Tinker has a school, but it's off base. Now, they haven't figured out how that's going to work yet or not, because they won't get 80% funding like the schools on base. So that's going to be done. But they also, I believe in the future, if you have this entity that, as the state determines what's important, you get this done, you fund these projects, but maybe next year it's, or in the future, it's some other projects that all the military communities need assistance with, then they can decide that each time. But that's where that's at. So I expect this week probably to be voted in the full Senate this week.
I talked to Senator Peterson last night, actually, about this very topic, so he's very supportive of it.
So he understands that.
Absolutely, and Chad Caldwell, too, so.
So anyway, for us, you would hope, that we would get assistance to help him. We will have the $1 million already, but then of course, now you got to wait to see how much you really need. But we know it's generally around $6 to $8 million based on the price of the school. So anyway.
Any other comment on that? Anybody? Questions? Very good, Coop. Thank you. Item 4.3, update on Oklahoma Senate Bill 893 concerning land purchases by foreign adversaries and the protection of critical infrastructure.
So Senator Howard from the Altus area has this. It's already passed out of the Senate. It's now in the House, and Chad Caldwell is handling this in the House. And so I met with both of them because there were a lot of changes, and I also spoke with our wing commander about, what's foreign adversary, what's important to protect, because initially in this they had a 10-mile radius around the bases, and of course we pretty quickly said, well, if you're really trying to protect against foreign adversary, at least for what we do, it's probably more than 10 miles. We've got military operating areas out there. And then there was a change on the description of foreign adversary. We narrowed it down to 4: Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. It's kind of hard to argue that those are probably our foreign adversaries. So the ability for those entities to be able to purchase land in the state would be eliminated through this. And then also talking about critical infrastructure, there was a thought about, well, because so many things are made by the Chinese, how do you do that really? So there's some leverage from the federal level that allows that there's a process that you go through to be able to do things from, say, of an adversary like that, but it has to go through a lot of security things before it can be cleared. So anyway, all of those things were put in this new bill. The infrastructure, the foreign purchase of land is in. The critical infrastructure, we've changed it to where people get an offset because of federal rules. And they've made all these changes. So I think They will vote on that probably tomorrow or Thursday in the Rules Committee, the Health and Human Services Rules Committee, and he already passed last Thursday out of their Veterans and Military Affairs Committee, and now it goes to Rules where they change all the wording, and then there'll be a process too after that before they vote to have all that together and all the changes where the Senate and the House both approve it, because what will have to happen once they approve it in the House, it'll have to go back to the Senate. Even though Howard agrees with all these changes, they have to vote on it again before it can then be going to the governor. And I kind of expect that to happen. So I think Oklahoma, again, will be the first state in the nation to have that type of legislation. So we'll follow that this week.
Item 4.4, update on current military construction or MILCON preparations for the Squad Ops facility, including engineering process and project timeline.
All I have to say to that, unless Throck has anything to say, is really, we got the 8.7 million, to do the engineering design. So I mean, for me, if you have a timing on that,
Yes, sir.
so, yeah, but you still expect to start that sometime this year?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well,
That's a non-committal answer.
we have to have hope. We did talk to General Alvin about that, and he's aware of that too. So,
Okay. Item 4.5, discussion on Enid Vance Air Force Base priorities for the Defense Community Infrastructure Program, or DCIP, including waterline replacement and power resiliency projects.
yeah, and we've had several meetings with the Air Force and OG&E to come down with what the solution was, and we finally have an agreed upon solution on the power. We also worked, the last couple of weeks, I worked with the folks at Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, who's the liaison Department of Defense for these funds. And there were a lot of rules that were waived because for the Department of Defense, so they've changed a lot of the rules to allow for this easier to happen between communities and the facilities to do these, because a lot of this, some of it's off base, some of it's, third parties are going to be constructing it and all those sorts of things dealing with power. So, and about who owns the power, because you're going to build something that really in reality, when you add a new substation, yeah, you build a new substation, but it isn't just for them as well. And whoever the provider is actually still going to make money off of that. So, because other customers will use that. So anyway, the whole idea is to have the three, including the new substation, but three substations tied together with the route into the base, where if any of them are out, not only the base, but the community is still served. So that's actually good for all of us. So, and then the water project, I'm not as familiar with that. I mean, Gerald, you got anything, guys, comment on that?
We're working other channels for the funding on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if those House bills you were talking about would also help the city.
I think eventually it could. I know year one, they're going to focus on these school deals. But yeah, that and other things, even, we've talked about the power, having alternative energy power solution where you're off the grid totally, things like that, because everyone needs it. And again, the infrastructure piece basically says in the future it can be whatever infrastructure need they decide is important. So,
Any other discussion on that? Okay. Item 4.6, update on the recent Enid Chamber of Commerce and City of Enid annual fly-in to Washington, D.C.
Mayor, you and Mike spoke to the importance of having a cohesive effort for Vance, and of course, certainly the VDA promotes that. A part of that cohesive effort is our annual legislative trip to Washington, D.C. It's mostly, not entirely, but mostly about Vance Air Force Base. We met with our congressional delegation, Congressman Lucas, Congressman Hearns, Senator Mullins, Senator Senator Lankford. And in addition to that, we had meetings at the Pentagon to discuss many of these same issues that are on the agenda today. I might just ask, if you took the legislative trip, raise your hand.
This year?
You can go ahead, April, you've been. Anyway, I think that just speaks to that cohesive effort between the chamber, the city, the VDA, and the business community. Everybody recognizes the importance of Vance, the huge economic development and quality of life benefit it is for our community. So we're always trying to be at the forefront and promote issues and opportunities to support the mission and protect the mission and expand it. One other thing that I thought was most interesting, your legislation, Mike, was well received at the Pentagon. By the way, we met with Rebecca Izakowicz and Robin Beard, who are with the Siting Clearinghouse, and also General David Allen. So that was very well received, and it's kind of fun to be part of a city that's at the forefront and a state that's at the forefront of with legislation that promotes military installations. So that's about it. Thanks.
Yeah, and the meetings with General Alvin, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, real well. We were able to highlight every one of the issues that we do, and he knows as much or more about what we're doing than we do sometimes, you know. But and he was a wing commander at Altus when Chris Nolan was wing commander here. And the first thing he mentions to us is they had a competition about who could reduce the power the most on the base, and they lost. Our base got about $1.1 million, and he still reminds us that we cheated on that. That's the second time that he's told the mayor and I that. You know, but anyway, he was real good. He's very appreciative of the land at this, you know, the southeast end of the runway, the outside runway, because he knows anything we do to protect any encroachment. And he's like us, you know, you're looking at that picture, as I told Throckers, I can't believe we don't own that already. But anyway, so he's very appreciative of that. And again, as he said, through the Siting Clearinghouse, because those are the folks we worked with to get the legislation right that they model and use in other states to protect their airspaces dealing with wind turbines and other towers and structures. So they were also very glad to hear about this, you know, the foreign adversary purchase of land and how you protect critical infrastructure and all that. Because it's been tried a couple of times, it's just hard to do, and they've tried the last 3 or 4 years at the federal level to do it, and they haven't been able to do it either. Now hopefully it happens, you know, before session's over this year, but they thought it was great, and they had a lot of good ideas. Also, meeting with the Assistant Secretary of Installation, Environment and Energy, SAF-IE office, the Acting Secretary. It's second time for him, so I hope he has some luck. Maybe he could be the permanent person. But he was also very appreciative of us, and they all recognize what we're doing and know what we're doing and use us as the example on how to do things. So it's good.
It was very good. I spoke just a little briefly about this at one of our commission meetings, but the one thing that I noticed, the common denominator, was every single person we met with talked about how many people we brought up there in support of that. Instead of just bringing them a mayor and a commissioner, or a mayor and one other person, that we bring a group up there and the cross-section of our group. Everyone independently mentioned that. So I think it was worthwhile. A lot of good feedback, and if nothing else, they know exactly the direction that we're headed, and I think that helps. So
yeah, and it really helps. It reinforces. You know, you wonder sometimes, are we doing what we should be doing? And when they kind of reinforce that with that, oh yes, you are. And and again, as I told the new ones up front, you know, either those discussions at the federal level, at the command, you know, headquarters level, or here, but particularly here, as long as we're all on the same page. Can't always do everything, but we sure try. So anyway, it's all good.
All those military officials are engaged with us when we meet with them at the Pentagon, and it's refreshing just to hear their level of appreciation for what Enid and Vance have done together over the years.
Okay, thank you, John. Item 4.7, update on the proposed land conveyance to the U.S. Air Force for the property located at the southeast corner of the outer runway at Vance Air Force Base, intended to prevent potential future encroachment. And is this, Carol, are you going to speak on that?
Sure.
Okay.
I've divided up, Molly's gonna take some, Gerald's gonna take some, of course mine. And we've got a long list of things, just like in, like 20 years ago. We're hoping that it doesn't take quite as long. We own the property now. I need to get a supplemental, more comprehensive title opinion that we own it, there's no problem, but the minerals have been severed, and so I'm gonna get a attorney who specializes in oil and gas and get a page or two added that will talk about the process if someone decides to attempt to do a horizontal well. I'm not sure that that's necessary, that's not on the list, but it's better to have it if we need it. Because periodically, in the past, we've done everything they've asked, and then they send it up, and then we have to do extra stuff. So we're doing a few extra things too, just so that we've got them. There's that one, and we're doing a baseline environmental, and I found that the last time that was not enough, so we're gonna decide whether or not we go ahead and do the second one to have it ready, because I know that Mike's plan is that we can get it done for, hopefully for this.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, sooner than later,
Yeah.
but also for,
Right.
I think Kook is the only one that calls him Frog, but for Frog. But we're, Jim's gonna
We
be
thought all we
tough.
had to do was buy it and give it to the government.
No, yeah,
So,
but
Oh, trust me.
Big, thick list of regulations.
Yeah, classic process. It's a notebook this thick. I'm just glad Carol's still here.
We're here to help.
I'm just glad.
yeah, we might have to hire someone back when we did it last time,
Yeah.
you could just give a notebook. I'm not sure that I'm the right person to do the, what do they call it? The
Lengthy summaries, I think you are that person.
It's the, putting it in the portal.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
We have other people who can.
If we need something in the portal, Dudley can help us with that. He's a portal negative. He has the security to get in.
We'll keep moving on that and get that done just as soon as we can. Perfect. Item 4.8, discussion on prioritization of projects for submission to the Oklahoma Strategic Military Planning Commission for funding considerations. And George, I think this might be you?
We talked before, we had three things that we were looking at. Eisenhower School was the first thing. Mike, what was the other two we talked about last time?
Well, the water eventually, because I'm not sure,
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going or what the fundings are, but, so that's kind of the other project.
Yeah. So, and I do have a meeting with OSMPC this Thursday, so I'll probably find out more there. I will tell you that we've had a change in the administrative person that takes care of the OSMPC panel. So there's probably a little learning curve going on and things that whenever you have a change in somebody like that, everything that runs really smooth hiccups a little bit on the way, so we're going through a little bit of hiccups right now, but.
So that's the one from the governor's office?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
And generally well, not generally, but the funding, they'll decide through budget process, this legislative session that ends end of May. And then after that, starting in June, money starts dropping in that bucket monthly to then be able to fund those projects. We've always done pretty good at that because George, because number one, we're organized. We kind of understand what we want. So you're able to get those in there and get them approved usually first or second. So.
Yep.
Guys, I've jumped in and just said the city has at least 2 priorities. One would be a reimbursement for the property.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
One
That,
is, the next one is the Vance Trail that we have that's
In-
designed, we're touching up design, working on
Yep.
easements. We do have a grant for that, it's an 80-20 match, so it'll be nice to get some contributions. The water line we're talking about is $5 million, so we probably need to work different channels for that, in my opinion.
and you're right. In fact, because it's going to take them through the year to be done, we'll probably use a split on dollars, for the school. And then, yes, the whole idea was to pay that money back so that's that 200,
Right.
I believe 200,000. So yeah, Gerald, that's correct. That's where it's going to be done in this piece now.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got those. Thank you.
Okay. Item 4.9, update on the Association of Defense Communities Installation Innovation Forum scheduled for October 2025.
As some of you know, and that's another thing for the new ones, a couple of the organizations that I'm involved in, AFA and Association Defense Community, Air Force Association, Association Defense Communities is the organization, states and communities that, liaison back and forth with Department of Defense through OLDCC, that organization. And the reason that you're involved in both of those, because number one, if you want to pay attention to what's important to the Air Force for us, this is where the leaders are at that are going to tell you that. You can meet with them directly and they're going to tell you, and then you can also, communicate back and forth. I know over the years, George has been to some of that. I can't remember if, April. And so that's why we're involved in those organizations. This installation innovation, George has been to this before, but it's where they bring communities and states together and you have the people, either the installation secretaries, the installation environment and energy secretaries, those are the ones that we work directly with, and they'll also have Air Force leadership, folks that are over, building of things or these intergovernmental support agreements and things like that. So you absolutely, the only reason you don't know the process is because you're not engaged and involved and go and listen. This one will be the mayor's first one, and I told him of all the ones important for you to go to, this is really important because they really do a good job of engaging communities, wouldn't you say, George?
Yep.
And so it's important for you to understand the process and who you're working with. And again, once you do and you're in front of them, that's why when we go to the Pentagon, it's kind of good to be walking down the halls and someone, hey, Coop, good to see you, so that's just good. So it's good to have a good working relationship. So he'll be going to that, and the location is kind of somewhat suspect this year. It is in Monterey. I'm sorry.
Not have to announce that, so.
But anyway, it's generally either there or in San Antonio. The reason it's in that, they also discuss still, because they're still funding bases that have closed, and they closed Fort Ord in the, between 95 and the 2005 BRAC pieces of it, so it's totally closed now. So there is also a certain group of people that still go to these things so they understand how the process and how funding can assist them rework their bases or redevelop their bases from closure. And it's because there's a great example right there in Monterey, Fort Ord. So,
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of years ago, a few years ago, Colonel Simmons and I went and talked about community relations at the one in San Antonio. So it was well received. And again, there's a panel of defense leaders from across the country that are looking, and they looked at Enid as one of the examples of a great relationship between community and bases. So, but that was really a lot of fun.
Good. Yeah. Good. Well, I look forward to that. Anything else? I will just say one more time, thank you to the new members for being here. Thank you for all those that have been on the board for quite some time. We appreciate what you do, what you will do if we ever need your expertise. And with that being said, we are adjourned.
Wait, is that another meeting?
Not sure. You've got a different.
Doing a lot better. He's completely lost the issue.
Okay.
I'm glad you're on.
Me too. I think it's more the fact that the